How to Stop Dieting to Embrace Wellness, Your Roadmap to Sustainable Health. So I want to welcome you again. Now, you have probably been to some type of training, some type of webinar, some type of meeting, something like this before. So you come into it maybe with some heavy expectations, maybe even a little pressure, because you could be in a situation today where your health may be in jeopardy. And when that happens, we get anxious and we want answers. You could have some type of a lifestyle disease, maybe high blood pressure or cholesterol, diabetes, maybe obesity. And these things could run in your family, which makes the situation even more stressful. But maybe it's that your body has changed. You know, you're getting older, you don't recognize yourself anymore. And so you come to something like this, and I'm so happy you accepted the invitation. You come to something like this, maybe a little skeptical, or even at the very least, having a very measured expectation of what you will walk away with. And I want to tell you that I understand that. So, the first thing I want you to do before we dig in is kind of plant your feet flat on the floor if you are able, and take a few deep breaths and just kind of relax your shoulders and just kind of settle in, because what we're going to do today is just basically have good conversation. So, if you are here today, you are likely not new to this game. There are a lot of things you probably already know, but here's the thing. There are some things that are personal to you that explain why you're either not being consistent with what you're trying to do, or if you are consistent, you're not seeing results. Now, this could be in the vein of weight loss. It could be how you're exercising. It could also be trying to prevent diseases that a doctor may have already told you that you are predisposed for. And those numbers, no matter how hard you try, they just stay right on the border. And then there's these mindset shifts. So, there's a lot of talk today about mindset, mindset, mindset. Okay, so you heard about it. And perhaps you are trying to change how you look at food, for instance, but your mind keeps playing tricks on you. So, again, this isn't going to be totally new information, but what I'm going to endeavor to do in this workshop is really clarify how you can make changes in what you're doing to get the results that you want. So, I want you to think about what you've been doing up to this point. So, no doubt, I don't want to assume, but no doubt you've tried a few different diets or programs. If you're like me, it's many diets, many programs. At some point, you maybe have joined a gym, maybe you purchased some exercise equipment. You may even know about these quote unquote healthy habits that we keep hearing about. You may know about all of those habits already. But again, in this workshop, we will bring some clarity to what it is that you need to do regarding food, how you move your body, having a healthy mindset, and implementing healthy habits. So I think it's appropriate that I introduce myself. I am Jessica Mitchell, health and lifestyle coach and the founder of Level Up Health Coaching. So a little backstory. It was 19 years ago that I stopped my own cycle of yo-yo dieting and lost 65 pounds. Now, that's also when I became a corporate trained certified health coach. So that was almost 19 years ago. And I did that because I wanted to be able to help others to have their own long-term weight loss story. You know, the before and after pictures. So I have one now. And I wanted other people to be able to do that. Sometimes that can be very motivating. But what happened was, even after that weight loss, I had to realize over the years that if I was going to maintain that weight loss, that I had to do something with my lifestyle. And that's actually what my coach taught me. She taught me certain things, certain habits to help me change really how I lived. So just eating meals or meal replacements and just exercising was never going to be enough. I had to shift my focus. But then I had another big shift in focus, and that started around or in October of 2017. I received a call from my mom, And in a very calm voice, long distance, she says, I have some very sad news. And then she calmly said, Jennifer died. And I said, Jennifer, who? And she said, Jennifer, your sister. So she's talking calm to keep me calm. She's in shock. I'm in shock. I look at my husband and I remember pantomiming to him, my mother is saying my sister died, but I'm not processing what she's saying. So I think she's talking about somebody else. Yes, obviously we were in shock. It had been so sudden, so unexpected. So my sister Jennifer was just 40 years old and passed away from a massive heart attack. So the thing that was so shocking about it is that she wasn't sick. Now, she had high blood pressure. A whole lot of folks have high blood pressure, and you don't associate high blood pressure with necessarily being sick. So that caused me to shift my focus again, because I don't want another family to have to go through this pain that we are still going through almost 6 years later. So I knew I needed to start addressing things differently in my coaching programs and how I coached, and really make it more about lifestyle modification to help prevent disease and not just weight loss. And so that's why they're called lifestyle diseases, because these lifestyle diseases that I work on helping women try to manage and prevent are diseases that can be managed with lifestyle. So they are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. Actually, obesity is considered a lifestyle disease. And then there's heart disease. And obviously, that is very close to my heart. Did you know that heart disease is the leading cause of death among women? And sadly, women of color, disproportionately so, are affected by heart disease and death. Even worse is that about 54% of women don't know that about heart disease. So even during the pandemic, when people were dying, heart disease was still taking women out. So this is very serious. And if you learn that there is something that you can do to protect yourself, wouldn't you want to do it? So I am happy that you're here, and I'm ready to share this information, really in hopes that you can make some improvements today, before this day is out, that will help you live a longer life. So I want to tell you and assure you, again, put your mind at ease. You are in the right place on this workshop if you keep doing things that you've been told would work for weight loss, but you find that you're gaining the weight back or you're not losing weight at all. You are in the right place today if, even with the best intentions, you find yourself doing good for a time, but then you fall back into these patterns like emotional eating, binge eating. I mean, you're working hard, but something keeps throwing you back. You are in the right place if you know what foods are considered to be healthy, but for some reason, you are just drawn to these unhealthy foods. We call them cravings, we call them the pull, but it's gotten to the point that you're feeling like you can't control them anymore. You're in the right place too if you lack confidence because of what you see when you look in the mirror, and you want to just feel more confident in your own skin. You're also in the right place if you see the importance of implementing healthy habits into your daily routine, but you're so busy, you feel like you don't have time. You just don't know how to exactly prioritize things to make this healthy lifestyle thing work. And you're also in the right place if you're ready to break the generational mindset and behaviors so that you can prevent lifestyle disease. So by that, I want to clarify what I mean. This generational mindset, it has to do, of course, with how we're raised when we say generational. And a lot of times we think of habits, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, these habits that we get from how we're raised, from our environment. But it's the mindset. It is that mindset piece that we'll talk more about too. So it's been difficult for you to make some changes, but you're in the right place if you're ready to do something different, to pass on to your children, to the next generation. You're also in the right place if you don't want to be on medication and you don't have to and you want to take really just a more holistic approach to your health, and then you're in the right place if you have an inflammatory disease, even if you're on medication for it, but you're at a point that you just don't want to hurt. You know you need to exercise, you know you need to do these other things, just have some type of movement, but yet it's painful, you hurt. So if you're that person and you just want to be able to get out of bed in the morning without some pain, then you're in the right place. Now, this workshop is not for you. I want to be very transparent. It is not for you. If you want to keep doing the same thing you've been doing, that thing that doesn't work, we have all heard the expressions about what insanity means, doing the same thing. I'm not calling anyone insane, because I do want to say that for many years, I did the same thing, even though it didn't work. But if you want to do the same thing that you've been doing, this workshop is not for you. It is not for you if you have that all or nothing approach and prefer a quick fix, or if you are a perfectionist, because no one does any health journey perfectly. I don't care where you are in your health journey. This workshop is not for you if you believe that thin equals healthy, because that is not the case. This workshop is not for you if you're willing to take chances with disease and you're okay with medication. And let's face it, there are some people that are. So I would also say that this workshop is not for you if you don't really want to change and you're okay with the current state of your health. That's something only you know. That's a hard pill to swallow, to actually have to say to yourself, I'm doing the work, but maybe my heart really isn't in it because I'm okay this way. And that's okay, because it's your choice. This workshop is not for you if you're too busy to make or take the time to prioritize your health. So if any of those things apply to you, it is okay to get off the workshop. This workshop today, this information that I'm going to share, is for those who are really, really, really looking to prioritize and invest in their health, whatever that may look like for them. Because remember, an investment isn't always about money. Sometimes it is, but there are investments that involve your time, your energy, your emotion. And when it comes to any worthwhile endeavor, there is going to be some sacrifice that is necessary. So my hope here is that you see the benefit of implementing what I'm going to share, and that you will leave this workshop on fire and ready to take some action, even if it is not with me. Now, if you choose to stay to the end, and as I said, this will be less than an hour's time, be sure to stay. If you choose to stay till the end, because I will be conducting a live Q&A session. So you will have access to me, a health coach with 18 plus years experience, to ask me any questions about what I say on this workshop, or any other questions you may have had, those burning questions that you had for a health coach. So I'm going to talk about 3 different things on this workshop. One is the truth about diet and exercise. We're going to get down and dirty about that, as in, why is it that diets don't work? Also, embracing mindset shifts for success, and then implementing healthy habits for life. So at this point, you might want to take a few notes. That is up to you. So the first thing is this truth about diets. The truth is they don't work. And this is coming from a career dieter. Now, if you are comfortable, it is up to you. I would love to know in the chat if you have done more than 2 diets in your lifetime. Okay, so we've got, so yes, I have more than 20, someone says. Okay, probably 10. Yes, more. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So then, yes, we are all in the right place, because I am right with you. We have all tried so hard. We've been trying all the things. Have you ever found yourself getting to a point where you got sick and tired of being sick? Okay, so you're not having any energy, or maybe you just want to get some weight off. And so you say to yourself, I'm ready to change my life, and I'm starting first thing Monday. You start, you stick to it, you don't make even one mistake, not even one crumb. And I can remember those days of dieting, not even one crumb. But what if I told you that that approach doesn't work? Well, sadly, you probably already know that. So let's start with food. Now, generally speaking, most diets are restrictive. They might be low calorie. They exclude whole food groups, foods that we need. They might even be time restricted where you eat within a certain window. And granted, more of an eating schedule isn't so much a diet and it's not necessarily so bad. But my question would be to you, is it sustainable? We'll get back to that. And then there's the counting. Okay, so you're counting calories, you're counting points, you're counting half ounces on the scale. And I know you know what I'm talking about. There's a very popular diet whose initials are WW. Now, back in my old life, past 19 years ago, I did that diet twice. And do you know what I learned from doing that diet? I learned how to count points. And what I would do was save my points till the weekend, and then I would just have pizza, Mexican food, margaritas, and I was within my points. And I can remember actually losing weight. Obviously, it wasn't sustainable to live that way. So while I learned how to count, what I did not learn was health. Okay, so that's food. Let's talk a little bit about exercise. So again, you have come to this revelation that you need to change your health. You say, I'm starting Monday morning. You've decided this is it. I'm changing my life. And so you start going to the gym 10 days a week. Maybe you're at home, but you are basically working out all the time, every day. You go all in, you're having all this cardio that you're doing, getting on the treadmill for a whole 60 minutes a day. And this is because we've been conditioned that this is how you lose weight, right? You eat less, you work harder, but then that's not working. Or maybe it does work. Maybe you've had some success. Now, I've tried so many, and from what I saw in the chat, a lot of you have as well. And so that was one of the things I tried, going to the gym 10 days a week and just, not eating any food. And, it didn't turn out so well because the event that I was preparing for, getting ready for the event, I threw my back out. So I wasn't able to make it to the event. And even though I had kept that routine for 5 months and lost 20 whole pounds in 5 months, when I had that injury that day, I ended up gaining 30 pounds back within 2 months. Okay, so I know that that doesn't work. So then here's the reality. Whatever it is that you choose to do, you need to be prepared to do it just like that from now on. And that's facts. Otherwise, when you stop the thing that you're doing, your results will stop. And this is why a more realistic approach to how you're eating and how you move your body is so important. And this is why diets don't work. Most diets, even some eating schedules, are not sustainable, at least not for you. So obviously, it involves getting to what is best for you. So I want to go back to Weight Watchers for a second, not to pick on them, but because I did do Weight Watchers twice. They did make some changes around 2018, 2019, with more of a focus on wellness. And from what I hear, they also introduced the concept of intuitive eating, and you may have heard of that. So they became a company that was about more than just weight loss, and I applaud them for that. However, this is a diet that is marketed to millions of people, men and women, without considering their circumstances, your circumstances, such as being married or single, having children or not, eating out more versus cooking at home. And there's nothing wrong with eating out, but we've got to know how to eat out. It's not taking into account your body's needs, your personal schedule. And speaking of schedule, it is often said, we all have the same 24 hours in the day when it comes to work or anything else. And technically, obviously, we do. But each of you on here, your 24 hours doesn't look the same as the person next to you. We're different people. Our days are structured differently. So you see, this is the area where I can support you by helping you structure your day and your life in a way that supports your goal, but still fits your life. And now along those lines, most diets or programs don't consider your specific dietary needs, and those needs differ from person to person. As an example, we know our bodies can go through havoc, say during pregnancy. There are a lot of other things that women experience, and of course, midlife is one of them. There are a lot of changes that happen as your body matures. So you're dealing with perimenopause, which generally starts around age 35, then menopause, and then postmenopause. So here's the thing, many of us women, we're not clear ourselves about what's going on. So you best believe that diet companies are not clear about what's going on, much less from woman to woman. Now, in your 40s, obviously, you could be totally blindsided when you wake up and you just don't recognize yourself and you feel like you're in somebody's body, somebody else's body. But see, not only are these hormonal changes normal and to be expected, but we can manage those changes if we are having a customized approach to them. Because the only thing that's happened is our body's needs have changed. So all we need to do is meet the needs of our bodies at each stage. But again, this is why what you used to eat and how you used to exercise in your 20s, maybe even in your 30s and your 40s, that's not working. You need a different approach, one to fit your unique circumstances and one that is sustainable. So here is a little exercise. If you're on a diet now, that's the diet I want you to be thinking about. Or you can think about one you've done in the past. Now, I want you to ask yourself this. Is this something that I can do forever? Do I want to count calories and points forever? Do I want to never be able to eat bread and pasta? And if you're one of those that likes to come in hot and heavy with the exercise and you're telling everybody to meet you at the gym and meet you out on the trail and you're posting about it and you're taking selfies at the gym, there is nothing wrong with any of that. But all the while you are wearing yourself out, again, ask yourself, is this the pace that I plan to keep from now on? So again, starting today, this is what you can do. Start making healthy food choices. And as I said earlier, I would talk about some things that you already know. And so I know that most of you already know what more healthy food choices are. So here's your challenge. Start making healthy food choices today. Eat those healthy food choices every few hours. Incorporate moderate but consistent exercise, including strength training now. Include strength training. And if you do that, you are already on your way to be able to reach your goals in a way that is sustainable. Maybe even losing weight and keeping it off, but at the minimum, becoming a healthier person. So that addressed some of the myths behind diets and why diets don't work. Now let's really kind of dig in with mindset, because mindset is a critical piece to this journey. So we're going to talk about how we can embrace these mindset shifts that are needed so that we can be successful. So do you find it hard when you make changes or try to make changes when how you approach your health? And you just can't figure out why. And the reason you can't figure it out is because you know you can read, you know you are an intelligent person, you know that we have so much information at our fingertips with the internet and Google and YouTube. So it's not lack of information. So why is it that it is so difficult? Well, what would you say if I told you it all goes back to the beginning, to your childhood? Yes, absolutely. We think of that, we think of childhood when it comes to other areas of our life, but when it comes to our health, we forget that some of the thoughts and emotions that are formed started then. So you could have been raised in a house where sweets after dinner was mandatory, or maybe you had healthy options presented to you in great quantity, but then you were told you couldn't leave the table until you cleaned your plate. Maybe you were deprived of food. That happens in some homes. Maybe you were raised by a single parent who was doing the best they could by providing you with TV dinners and takeout. But would it surprise you to learn, again, that a big reason that you look at food and dieting and even body image the way that you do has to do with those things that happened when you were a child? Your whole outlook on life is formed by the age of 6 or 7. Now, that's not to imply that people can't change, but it's certainly very beneficial to know why you do the things you do, why you think the way you think, and why you're having difficulty making these changes that you so desperately want to make. Again, that's when our ideas about body image are formed in many cases. And then you go into school, and then there's that whole thing that kids talk about when they start to judge you based on how you look. So, the terms fat versus skinny or cute versus ugly. So my question to you, since we're talking about mindset, is what do you see when you look in the mirror? Now I want you to sit with that for a minute. What do you see when you look in the mirror? If you have aged at all, do you see the beauty that others see, or do you see wrinkles? If you have put on a few pounds, do you see the beauty that others see, or are you the one that says, but my face is fat? So that's why I said I want you to sit with that for a minute. And certainly, if you haven't reached a goal, are you feeling unattractive just because you haven't reached a goal? But then on the other side, are you somewhat dismissive of the fact that maybe you do need to do something about your health? Maybe you do need to pursue something so that you can become the healthiest version of you. We have become so superficial in this society. And in our imperfection, that's how we are. We can sometimes project that on others, but so many times we project that on ourselves. So what do you see? So again, starting today, I want you to start focusing on your health, not the scale, not your weight, not even how you look. I want you to start with the focus or the goal of just feeling better, having more energy. I want you to think about how it would feel. Now, if you want to close your eyes, you're welcome to. I want you to think about how it would feel to do a task that right now gives you some trouble. Maybe going up the steps without getting winded. Maybe playing with children or grandchildren on the floor, and it can be a little challenging, those knees and getting up and all that good stuff. And so you want the freedom that becoming healthier might give you. I want you to think about what it would be to go to the doctor and your doctor is just flabbergasted that you have either dropped some pounds or your numbers are improving. And the reason the doctor is flabbergasted in so many cases is because they will tell you about your numbers. And you all know how this is. They will tell you, but they will not really give you a viable option to make the improvements. They will say, go lose weight, go start a diet, and go exercise. So imagine how it would feel to go back and this doctor gets this or sees this great report from you and actually has to start adjusting your medication or take you off of medication. Now, if visualizing those things isn't enough, here's what will really help you make the necessary mindset shift. So we will do an exercise. And so it might be helpful to have pen and paper for this. I want you to start with one limiting belief or a negative thought pattern. A limiting belief or a negative thought pattern. And we know that limiting beliefs can be very detrimental to your health journey. So that is the belief that there's something you can't do. And that's just what you tell yourself. So as an example, it could be that you believe that you're just not disciplined enough to do any type of program. You just can't do it. Or you could actually believe, especially when it comes to that generational mindset, you could believe that you don't deserve to be healthy. So whatever that limiting belief is that you came into this workshop with, I want you to write it down. And no one else sees it, but please be honest with yourself, because this is how we lay the foundation for overcoming barriers to mindset changes. So now that you have this limiting belief, I want you to face it head on. Now I'm going to call it a crazy belief. And I call it crazy, even though I'm not looking at your paper. because limiting beliefs are generally always just in our head anyway. So I want you to face this crazy belief head on. And I want you to counteract it with a positive affirmation. So basically, I just want you to flip it. So in other words, if you were one that wrote down, I'm just not disciplined enough, because that's what you tell yourself day after day, then I want you to flip that and say, I am totally capable of doing whatever it is I need to do to improve my health. That's what I want you to write down. And while you're at it, I want you to also say, I'm amazing, because you are. Because any woman that cares enough about her health to start a diet, even if it doesn't work, is an amazing woman, because there's some people that never even start. Remember that. Now, remember that this journey to a healthier you does begin with nurturing a healthy mindset. There is no way around that. You cannot just diet and exercise without addressing mindset. So you need to believe these affirmations, you need to own them. And one of the first steps in doing that is to say it out loud, and to see how doing that starts to shift not only how you think about yourself, but how you feel about your health. So before this day is over, I challenge you to go stand in front of a mirror, and whatever that positive affirmation is that you wrote down, how you know you flipped the limiting belief, I want you to go in there and look in the mirror and say it to yourself. Say, I am capable of doing anything I want to do. How about that? Now, for some of you, that may feel really weird and may be a little uncomfortable, but I think it underscores the point, and you'll probably agree. We have to do better with self-talk. We have to do better with how we think of ourselves, because there's some things that we will say to ourselves that we would never say to anyone. We would never tell a woman who is struggling with her weight that she is ugly, that she is unattractive. We would never do that, but yet we'll have those conversations in our own minds. So shifting your mindset, starting with how you view you, will have a very powerful impact on your overall well-being. Now, this third and last point has to do with healthy habits. And I know y'all have heard a lot about these healthy habits. How can we implement them? Because we have talked about eating and exercise and really dug into mindset. But see, it's those habits like hydration, sleep, stress management, self-care. Those are habits that perhaps you have already incorporated into your routine, but for whatever reason, they don't stick. Remember, we do things just like with the diet and exercise. We do things for a few days, few months, few weeks, few months, and that could just become our pattern, and then we stop. So our pattern is to do good, stop, do good, stop. So maybe you plan to take time for yourself. Maybe self-care is something that you practice, but then you're always the one that when somebody else calls you because they need something, you drop what you're doing. And it's great that you're so generous and helpful. But now again, the time that you had for you is not there. Maybe you started drinking water. That's one thing a lot of folks struggle with. And you do really, really good for a week. And then there's a hiccup. And then you just don't drink any more water. And so the thing that I want to share that will make the difference, and it may surprise you actually, because as I thought about it myself in sharing this information, and what are the things that make the biggest impact on being able to maintain healthy habits, since we know what they are, one of the biggest things is accountability. So I don't mean just showing up for a weekly support group, although that's okay. And you may or may not decide to work with a coach. If you do, I'm happy for you. But here's the thing, even if you work with a coach, you will not work with that coach forever. So we've got to find a way to take these healthy habits that you already know and place them in your life in a way that you can do them from now on. So I want to introduce a concept to you. Some of you may have heard of it. We're going to apply this to our health goals, and that is the concept of SMART goals. SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T, it's an acronym, will help with self-accountability. It stands for specific, And this is how your goal should be. So this goes beyond just general goal setting. Your goals should be specific. They should be measurable. They should be achievable. They should be relevant. And then also time bound. That is SMART, S-M-A-R-T. So I'm going to give an example of how you can weave a healthy habit into this concept, but I want you to choose. So there's a couple of things in coaching women over the years that seem to be two of the most challenging things. There's quite a few, but two that always stand out to me is one that I mentioned, and that's hydration. The other one is sleep, because we hear about the importance of sleep. So I'll use one of those. If you'll let me know in the chat which of those is most of a challenge to you. Is it hydration or is it sleep? So I'm going to look in hydration. Okay, we have more sleep. Okay, I see some hydrations, but mostly sleep. And judging by this beautiful group of women that I know are here, I can say that at this stage of life, sleep seems to be so elusive. So we will go with sleep. Let's start with the fact that it has been recommended that we get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, period. That is the recommendation for our bodies to function smoothly. So let's start with the S. The S stands for specific. So we know that the specific goal is somewhere between 7 and 9. So let's make it easy and split the difference and say 8 hours. So if we're going with sleep, let's write this down. So our goal is to get 8 hours of sleep. So we're very clear, we're very specific. Say that 10 times. Now, measurable. How do we measure the night's sleep? Well, there's a number of ways. If you're not into technology, which is fine, then just look at what time you're going to bed. Look at what time you get up. Now, of course, to be factored in there are times you may have to get up in the middle of the night, and we can always talk about that later because that happens for various reasons as well. But generally speaking, we can measure that goal looking at our standard bedtime and what time we wake up. The other way to measure sleep is a number of devices. I know that my watch can measure that for me. Next is the A for achievable. So if you're already getting somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, I am happy for you. But based on all of those sleeps over there in the chat, I'm going to say that sleep is really a challenge for you. So I can't tell you then that when this day ends, just go ahead and set your, go to bed earlier, or sleep later tomorrow to get that 8 hours. That wouldn't be very achievable. So what you could do is start with maybe starting your nighttime routine 15 minutes earlier, then move to 30 minutes earlier until eventually you've gotten yourself to a point, and again, in a way that works for you, because maybe it's not moving your bedtime earlier. For you, maybe it's sleeping longer, but whatever it is that you do this in increments, and then this way it becomes more achievable. Next is relevant. So when it comes to sleep, let's talk about the relevancy of a good night's sleep. Your sleep affects your cardiometabolic health. Cardiometabolic has to do with your blood pressure, the disposition to diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and obesity. So obviously, it is important that you get the recommended amount of sleep. And now, from a scientific and clinical standpoint, there really is no argument there. So then the thing would be, if you understand that about sleep, almost like understanding the principle behind something, it can be much easier to incorporate it. So is getting good sleep relevant? Absolutely. Now, the T is for time bound. So we've already set the goal. We said that we're going to be measured about it. We can't do this overnight. So what you do with a time-bound goal is you set a time. so that you do achieve it. So it's not really a race where you have to just run and do it. But at the same time, you may say that if sleep is a challenge for you today and you plan on implementing the things that I've suggested, maybe you say by October 1st, I want to be getting a solid 8 hours sleep. Now, of course, there are going to be a number of other things around that. It's not just about setting a bedtime and an alarm clock, a number of things around that. But that's a great time frame to work on making improvements. And so that's what you can do with other goals. So remember that with SMART goals, that you're looking at making your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I hope you see that when you do it that way, it's not so overwhelming. And this is a way to keep you accountable so that, again, these healthy habits that you already know about can now become a routine, really just part of your lifestyle. Like, this is just what you do. This is just how you live. Now, of course, when you talk about hydration, sleep management, stress, it really is imperative that you become aware of the real impact of those on your health. I can't emphasize enough that a health journey is never just about diet and exercise. So you're probably starting to see that then. It's not about diet and exercise. It's really like a picture with all of these different puzzle pieces. So you've got your nutrition, your regular movement. You need to have a positive mindset, which also helps with the habits of, healthy habits like stress management and sleep. And all of these habits, they come together like pieces to a puzzle to make a complete picture of health. So as we start to wrap up here, if you are ready to stop dieting, to break that diet mentality and embrace wellness and start implementing habits that are sustainable, habits that will help you have a long-term transformation, then I want to invite you to something that I think is amazing. And that is a breakthrough call with me. That is a free call. It is not a sales call. This is a call that will help you get to the next level so that you can level up your health, so that you don't go another year with these same challenges that you have had, in regards to your health. Now, let me be clear. If you are wanting a quick fix, say you have a wedding coming up in a few months, you're going on a vacation, going to visit family, just want to drop some pounds, then this call is not for you. And that's because I work with women who have tried a lot of other things because they are me. I had to learn that diets didn't work, and that's what I want to teach women. So I work with women who are ready to explore the fact that there is something different. They're ready to do something different, and that is exploring the real impact of their lifestyle, including mindset shifts on their health. So those that generally partner with me, they're women that just don't want to be sick. They don't want bad news from the doctor. If they haven't gotten it already, they don't want it. They don't want to be on a lot of medication. Instead, they see the need to change, take a more holistic approach, and they realize that they need some support doing that. And that's where I can help. So now I've told you about my sister, Jennifer. I mentioned that in the beginning. I don't want any family, not on my watch, to have to go through what we did. So I want you to think about your loved ones. You do so much for your loved ones. As we said, you are beautiful and you are amazing. You are caregivers, your mothers, daughters, wives, sisters. Those are all the things that you are. But what tends to happen when we hear information that stings a little bit is we start thinking of those that we can share this with, which is a good thing. Who we know that needs to get healthy, because we don't want to lose anyone. But at the same time, I want you to think about the void that would be left in their lives if something happened to you. So you do so many things for other people. I know many of you on here, and I know how much you do for other people. So my question to you is, when are you going to invest in yourself? So this breakthrough session, this breakthrough call, is a free 45-minute call where you will receive more clarity on what you should do for your next steps. So if you are interested in scheduling that call, you can simply go to my website. And my website, let's see, maybe we can get that typed in the chat from my co-host. It is www.imjessicamitchell.com. So it's pretty easy to remember. I am Jessica Mitchell, all one word.com. And now when you go on my website, right when you get started there, it says, let's get started. There is a button that says, let's get started. And then from there, you can schedule the call if you would like. So I want to tell you how appreciative I am to have come here and to see all of you here. I'm so appreciative. Hope you appreciated and enjoyed the information. And I want to thank you for attending. And so, of course, as mentioned, since you stayed until the end, and I'm so happy you stayed, I would like to open the floor to anyone that has any questions for me about anything that was discussed on this workshop today, or any other questions you may have had about dieting, health, for a health coach. I am here for you.
You mentioned variations of exercise and eating. Does that have anything to do with how well you sleep? Because I mean, I don't over exercise. I have started walking a little,
Okay.
but I still can't get to sleep at night. I'm trying to cut back on sweets and so forth, and like you said, trying to regulate how to eat so that something I can continue as I go get older. And I don't want no points, and I don't want to have to do or how can I get my sleep regulated so that I can go and get a good night's sleep, and I don't sleep and then wake up 2 hours later, go to sleep, wake up 2 hours later. I don't get a full sleep through the night.
That's a great question, and I can understand how frustrating that is. So here's the thing with that question. The answer to that really is going to be very individualized based on exactly what it is you're doing. But I'll try to give you a little here based on what you said. So you said you started walking, you're trying to stay off sweets. So what I want to say off the bat, one of the things that I got was there's, some generality in what you're doing. So one of the first things would be to figure out what exactly needs to be done for you. Because although I think we all have some things in common as to why we're not sleeping, there could be some other things that maybe you don't even realize are contributing to the lack of sleep. So it really would be a matter of kind of peeling back the layers to try to see that. So, I mean, I recommend a breakthrough call. We can go through some of those things, behind the scenes and see if we can pinpoint. But some of the general things, of course, are trying not to have too many liquids before bed. I mean, that one gets me. And as I get older, I've got to stop liquids earlier and earlier. It used to be not after 10. Now it's about not after 8. So, stopping liquids earlier, not watching stimulating things at night, even your screen, even being on your phone at night could disrupt you getting into or disrupt you having a good night's sleep. So again, it's probably, believe it or not, going to be just tied to diet and exercise, what you're eating or the walking that you've started doing. There are a host of other factors that could contribute to that, but hopefully just give some attention to those few things,
and probably what I do, like you said, is schedule a time to just have a one-on-one with you and look at whatever factors. And like you said, it could be something that I may be doing and not even realize how it is causing the different things to happen. But I do know that if I get into bed at 9 o'clock, I'm still awake around 11:30 because I still haven't gone to sleep yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. So
I don't, and it's not so much that I'm watching TV or anything like that. It's just that I just, I'm looking up, my eyes wide open.
Well, here's one other thing I'm going to suggest, and especially in case there's anyone else here on this workshop that experiences this. you might actually need to move your bedtime back a little. I know, because here's the thing, if you're laying there, there's a reason that you're not sleeping. So there's a number of things that I speak with my clients about, because we've got to figure out, well, why are you laying there for the 2 hours awake? Is it just a matter of maybe you're not as sleepy as you think? Did you take naps during the day? What are the things that you fed in your brain, aside from television, before you put your head on that pillow? And then we work on different techniques to actually put you in that frame of mind. One of the things I talk about when it comes to sleep is having like a sleep sanctuary. And for me, it's like a cocoon in a bubble, in a figurative and a literal way. It's a routine. It's like a ritual, because I have to get a good night's sleep. So there are so many different things that lead up to it. Now, by saying so many, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, like this isn't doable. But over time, it's easy to incorporate these little things that you may be missing that may help you get a better night's sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to schedule some time with you.
Okay.
So that we can iron out a little of these doodads, because I don't want to medicate myself so much just to knock myself to sleep. Yeah. And then I'm groggy in the morning because it's a hangover from what I had.
Cycle. It is a vicious cycle for sure. Thank you for that question, Brenda. Any other questions from anyone? If you'll raise
Jessica. Oh.
Yes. Oh, there you go, Dolly. I hear you.
Jessica, is there a way to break that cycle of all or nothing? Because it seems like either I put everything in it and then I lose the weight, and then it, if I don't stick with it, then it comes back on. Is there a way to break that cycle?
There's definitely a way. And that the way to break it is going to start with why you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And that is why I cannot emphasize enough the importance of doing the mindset work. The mindset work, putting that work in, and it is work, because we work with the diet portion, the food, the exercise, we accept that it's work. But the mindset piece is just as important. So there is a reason that you're approaching it that way. And probably at some point, if you stood back and looked at your life in general, there are probably other areas of your life that you approach that way. It's almost the perfectionism, bug that can really get us. And in some ways, certain or different areas of life, that might serve you well. Might. But in this area, it's not. And so really, it is a matter of again, peeling back the layers from a mindset standpoint and seeing why it is you're doing this. And I can promise you that there probably is something from many years ago that causes you to approach your health journey that way. And if it's been that way for years, then that's proof of that to me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Question. Again, I want to thank you all so much for being here this day, taking this hour out of your time. And I will go ahead and close this workshop. Again, if you have any questions, you can go to www.iamjessicamitchell.com, schedule your breakthrough call, and we can go from there.